The following may contain language and subject matter which is not appropriate for all audiences. Hello, everybody.
Way to clear your throat, bro.
Thank you for joining us here on the Low Fact Podcast, Dave and Matt.
Sup?
And if you haven't noticed, well, if you're new, you don't know, but if you're not new and you've been listening, then you might have noticed that we are trying to do a little bit longer format.
But not as long as what we started with.
And not as long as what some people do. If we want to take a little bit of time to say, some of those long format podcasts, I think, are just kind of weird because they don't necessarily talk about one subject very deeply.
No.
They talk about a bunch of subjects, none of which are very deep.
Well, I don't know how people have 3 hours in the day to listen to it, like if it's a daily show.
Well, they do, and hats off to them, and I'm glad you have people willing to pay you money for the large audiences that you have because people listen to you. Hats off to you. Wish I could do the same, but I can't. Anyway, so let's jump right into this one topic. Since you grew up in a different kind of country than me.
Here we go.
But what?
I'm just waiting for the question.
Well, it's an old political question. Do you think that representatives should be should basically parrot the populace, the people that they elect, or do you think an elected representative should be an elected representative who uses his own discretion and whatnot?
Well, you know what the answer to that's going to be.
I have no idea what the answer to that is. That's why I've asked.
It's the latter.
You think that the elected representatives should be actual representatives, and they use their discretion in stuff?
Yeah, and that might involve making a difficult decision that puts them at odds with the populace.
Well, that's
something that's it might mean making decisions that aren't popular, but ultimately are better for the country or the republic or whatever.
But if you did something like that, wouldn't the populace, don't you run the risk of the populace sitting there and not electing you anymore?
You do.
Which probably wouldn't be a big deal if, well, I'm not even going to go into that because no matter what you think of, what I would think of to try and change or make the elected class a little bit more beholden to the electors.
You mean like responsible?
Well, try to keep them from cheating.
Right.
And doing, bad stuff. But no matter what you do, they're going to figure out a way to, get some kind of advantage out of it.
The elected folks?
Sure.
So
because that's human nature, not because elected folks are inherently bad, any more badder than anybody else. Everybody's going to want to try and take advantage of stuff. I mean, that's just a natural thing. I love how everyone, and this is an example that I've used before, and you might disagree, but it's like the whole idea of cheating. I don't see that as a particularly bad thing, watching someone else do something and then copying them, because that's pretty efficient.
Which is why cheating goes on. And
plus there's probably a pretty high upside to it.
Right.
Now, you keep on doing that, and I don't know that we'd last very long, but theft, all that stuff.
So you don't put a moral, do you think there's a moral element to cheating?
I think there's a practical...
moral or immoral?
There's a practical element to wanting to keep that from happening.
Oh, it's not a moral question.
I suppose it could be. I mean, I don't know what moral means.
Well, good or bad, yeah?
Right. Okay. If moral means, the difference between good and bad, like moral being good, then, no. I don't think everything is relative, but, well, maybe it is, right? Something beneficial happens to me, I think it's good. Something beneficial happens to somebody I dislike, I think it's bad.
Right. And if everybody's cheating, is it less immoral?
No. If the reason to discourage cheating is because if you want innovation, if you want something to go on, if you want a certain type of behavior to go on, then you want to be able to reward that behavior so that more people will try it.
I don't get it.
Well, think about patents.
Okay.
What is the whole purpose of a patent?
To stop other people from copying it,
Why?
so that you can have the advantage of being able to exploit the fruits of your labor.
So you can take advantages of what you created, invented, whatever, for a certain amount of time
Right.
to reward you for that kind of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
If there was no such thing as a patent and everybody cheated, then the idea, I guess, the conventional wisdom is people wouldn't create anything new.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense.
So from that standpoint, yeah, I don't think that cheating is probably very good for the whole community, if you will, the state. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, in terms of cheating, yeah, it's more efficient to just copy somebody else. But do you really want a society, a community, a bunch of people that all they know how to do is copy?
My gut says no.
Well, that's what everybody's gut would say. But then the first question to that is, okay, so, but if you don't protect the quote-unquote innovators, would they all leave?
I don't know. Well, what depends?
Right. If it's a free society and you can come and go as you please, then maybe. But if you're a slave or forced labor, and someone says, I'm going to start hacking off toes if you don't start inventing something for me, then, I think that there might be a little bit something else.
There'd be a lot of invention going on. But, okay, so...
But going back to the question, yeah, so you think that an elected person should be a representative, a true representative, someone who can use their discretion?
Yeah, because I think otherwise it's just bad for the whole. It's bad for the country,
or bad for the whatever unit,
whatever it is, because you just end up with a bunch of
yes men.
Yeah.
How do we know that's not better?
Because that's what we have now.
Well, I don't know if that's what we have now, but
I think it's
if you play out your scenario to the logical end, wouldn't it be better if something bad kind of wiped itself out so that something better could come along?
You mean in my scenario of people thinking for themselves and doing stuff independently?
No, I mean this is kind of. I guess I'm taking it a little bit farther.
That's all right.
Or on a different tack, but because we often talk about environmentalism and I've kind of. There are times where I've compared the environmentalist to an anorexic. In terms of people with anorexia, it's a mental disorder where people want control over stuff. And so they're not eating so much to make their bodies, supposedly from what I read, or from what I heard somebody reading, I can't remember if it was just me studying with someone who was in a psych class while I was studying for something else. But the whole point of it was that, the young people that go through anorexia is usually young ladies, young girls, and it's really because they want to stop puberty or they want some kind of control over something.
Okay.
And with the environmentalists, they're like, oh, if we don't do something, then things are going to change so much to where we can't survive. And my response to that was always, why do we need to survive? I mean, because they're always talking about greater goods and what's good for this and what's good for that. And no one ever sits there and says, okay, well, let's say that you're not a particular good. Wouldn't it be better for you to be out of the way so that the good can come through?
That's
Now, I'm not.
It's a very stark philosophy, isn't it?
Oh, I'm not suggesting that you kill yourself or kill other people or eliminate folks. I'm just saying.
No, you're just taking it. That you're taking the statement through to its logical conclusion, right?
Well, not necessarily, because I don't know what the environmental folks necessarily stand for.
They stand for.
And I don't know that
But you do know.
I don't know what they... Look, it's hard to know what anybody stands for because we have to do a whole lot of play acting. you have to talk about how, oh, when someone gets hurt or someone has died, you have to go, oh, well, that's so sad that so-and-so has died. A lot of times, I don't think people really care.
That, yeah, I mean, unless you have some connection to it.
Even then. But you have to seem like, well, it's like the whole coronavirus polls, right? Everyone thinks that, physical distancing and staying at home to whatever is a good thing. But at the same time, they go out and act in a not particularly good way, right? They act opposite in the way they say that things should be. And, well, actually, we're probably going on to a different thing right now, and that's cool. So
We have time.
Well, yes, that is one thing we have lots of. So,
Hopefully.
well, we got more time than you think. So this whole idea of a double standard,
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm like, should we? Is there anything really wrong with a double standard?
Yeah, just like, it seems like, it doesn't seem fair.
What do you mean?
People have a double standard.
Everybody has a double standard, though.
But that's not fair.
Well, do you really want fair? Do you want like ultimate cosmic fairness? Like if you speed, the wheels of your car fall apart.
Well,
When you lie, maybe your nose grows or your finger falls off. When you do something to hurt somebody else, you get the exact same hurt put upon you. I mean, you're gonna get balls flying after you from left and right.
I don't know about cosmic fairness.
Well,
I mean, that sounds scary.
Well, fairness is fairness, right? You want fairness all the time, or you don't. I think that those.
No, I want fairness from society.
Again, you want fairness all the time, or you don't, because I know there are a lot of situations where life isn't black and white and things aren't binary, but I think in this situation it is. Now, so the whole idea of a double standard, everybody looks upon that as a great big old negative.
I know I do.
Yeah, but I'm like, don't each and every one of us benefit many times
From double standards?
From double standards, from not necessarily having equal.
Yeah, but when people see a double standard, like, invariably there's like a public outcry.
Well, when they see a double standard that they're not the beneficiary of.
Not necessarily. Like, I feel like sometimes when people see a double standard,
So you see a whole lot of Harvard legacies protesting about the fact that they got admitted to Harvard when someone else who had higher scores and better grades.
No, but like, well, like the hairdresser in Texas. Did you see that news item? She got like fined and I think an imprisonment.
I did see that. I heard her statement and when she was talking about her statement and
everyone's like up in arms because they're like, she needs to be able to pay her bills and have like she was just trying to like.
Yeah, I have no qualms against what.
And everyone's up in arms because they're like, it's a fucking double standard because there's plenty of businesses that are open that don't seem that different.
What do you mean?
Well, like you were talking about in one of our earlier episodes, liquor stores, like there's plenty of places you go where there's like lots of mingling and interactions going on, yet somebody can't have a frickin' hair salon open.
I'm not opposed to her.
But that's the people freaking out about the double standard.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, people are like, it's a fucking double standard. These businesses over here are open.
I'm not getting what you're saying. Like, which people? What double standard? What are you talking about?
Well, the double standard is there's some businesses that seemingly are allowed to be open, the quote essential services, where there's plenty of interactions and potential exposure going on, but other businesses have been singled out because they're deemed to be more risky or what have you. That's like a double standard.
Well, I don't know if it's been deep. I don't know what reason was.
It's because they're saying like hairdressers get too close to people.
Well, now they're making them. Oops, sorry. Now that they're making them wear face shields and all kinds of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, isn't that a double standard?
Uh-huh.
And aren't there a whole lot of people getting upset about that double standard?
I don't know. I will share this with our listeners, but it might surprise you, that living in a place that was under lockdown had zero effect on my social life. That's like a Debbie Downer statement. Yeah, sure, but I'm just sitting there going, huh? That's pretty sad, I suppose.
Maybe you need to get out more, bro.
Well, when I had the chance, it really didn't, and so.
So doesn't this make you want to get out now?
Well, I am prevented from doing a couple of things that I
enjoy doing.
That I enjoy doing, but going out and meeting people wasn't one of them. So, the fact that I can't go out and meet people doesn't necessarily make me want to go do that.
So right at the beginning of this discussion, you led off by saying you don't think that double standards are necessarily a bad thing.
I'm wondering if they are.
Oh, you're wondering.
Because if you think about it, right, if there is no double standard, there's one standard for everybody, no matter how rich, poor, successful, smart, stupid, pretty, ugly, whatever. There's one standard for everything because we are all equal, right? Then, I don't know that. Oh, I know that
that doesn't exist.
I know our betters would be up in arms about that. It's like, fick no. No way.
One standard.
One standard for you. And no standard for me.
That's a double standard.
Right, but everyone kind of thinks that. One standard for you all. Even the people that sit there and say, oh, no, I think we should all live by the same standard.
I don't mean that.
I doubt it. I really do. I mean, if you're going to be honest with yourself and me, I think, because I personally don't want one standard.
So then double standards exist and are inevitable then?
Well, I don't know if they're inevitable, but they probably do exist because everybody wants one. Everybody wants you to not get away with your stuff, but everybody wants to be able to get away with whatever it is they want to get away with.
That sure makes us pretty petty.
I don't know that we were noble.
I just think it's a very petty thing. It demonstrates pettiness.
Well, it is what it is. Well, sure it may, but again, I don't sit around thinking about how great I am. I haven't bought the Christian Kool-Aid.
How is that Christian?
Well, isn't the Christian Kool-Aid that God made us in His image and we're the most loved creature ever? And
then there was
we're put on earth to rule over everything.
But then we fell from grace.
No.
Didn't we?
Even if we did, didn't God come back and endure all kinds of suffering to absolve us from our stupidity and idiocy?
This is true.
So I don't. It's one of those things that I just don't think about. I don't think about how great I am or people are. Maybe I just take it for granted and just whatever. Right?
I wonder how I would describe your philosophy.
But just like I don't think about how smart I am in relation to other people, or how I do think of how short I am in relation to other people. But that's just because throughout my life I've had much taller friends and acquaintances.
I don't know why you choose tall people.
I don't think I did. It just
maybe tall people choose you.
Maybe it did. Maybe it just happened that way. I mean, I'm not a.
I wonder how many people are calling bullshit when you say I don't think of myself as in terms of other folks.
Well, if you're listening and you think that I'm BSing you, why don't you comment?
It's a good idea.
But I think that's enough. I mean, I don't know where we went, but
somewhere
over the rainbow.
Was it a detour? Are we done?
Sure.
Okay, we're done. Thanks for tuning in.